All right, here we go. The Unplugged Alpha number 64. What if feminists were honest? This video caught my attention. It's on the Jubilee channel. And the title of their video is If Feminists Were 100% Honest. And they have a bunch of questions that are posed to these ladies, as our buddy Bill Burr would say. First question, or sorry, these are statements, not questions. I have slut shamed somebody. Second one, I've used my sexuality for personal gain. Third, not all women should be believed. That'll be interesting. I've got this video clip that I'm going to play for you guys to follow along with me. Canceling men is necessary for progress. Abortion is murder, and I still support it. And the future isn't female. Right. Let's cue up their video and get my earbuds in. And I will be taking some call-ins today. So whatever you guys want for Q&A, it's open. Young, old, man, woman, child, bring it. By the way, if you want honesty from anybody, I think it's pretty good practice. You guys should know this by now, to watch the behavior, not what people say. Behavior reveals intention and the direction that they're going. I think the only time you're going to get honesty is if you talk to a small child. Small children are pretty honest, I think, for the most part. Adults, not so much. Women, watch their behavior, like I like to say. All right, let's grab the Chrome tab here, share audio, and let's go like this and see what we can do here with this. All right, so it's a 13-minuter. If you guys are having any issues with the audio, let me know in the chat, but let's just start playing it. So again, the first thing that I like to do whenever I assess is consider the source. I've said this a ton of times. Whenever somebody says anything, whenever you're hearing, an opinion or a narrative, always consider the source. Our source here is feminists, that they are protecting the actual identity of. You can see they're wearing masks here. You guys can't see my cursor, but I'm sort of just like, if you take a look at their faces and heads, you can see they're all wearing masks. And it's a darkly lit room. And I'm assuming they don't know each other's identity. It appears that they've gone to pretty significant lengths to sort of protect that, but you can see their posture and what they look like in this image over here by just having a gander. This is the only scene that you see with the lights somewhat on, but they look like your typical feminist crew, for being completely honest with what we're dealing with here. For those of you that are listening on the podcast, the after podcast. All right, let's play this. Here we go.
Without fear of judgment. We brought together 7 strangers, protected their identities, and created a space for them to be completely honest. What will be revealed when they take the mask off?
I just want to say this. They're not going to be completely honest, right? They're still sitting by other people. Humans are sheep. They tend to follow what others do. And you might get a little more honesty out of this, I think, is what we're going to see. But I don't believe you're going to see 100% honesty. Let's just say this will be about as honest a opinion that you're going to get from feminists that you're ever going to see. So let's just leave it there.
I have slut shamed someone.
I don't know why they did this red agree and blue disagree. It should have been green agree and red disagree. But anyway, so look for the red dots. Again, I have slut shamed. And for those of you that are maybe living under a rock somewhere and don't know what slut shaming is, men are constantly accused of slut shaming women. Oh, she's too promiscuous. She's been around a bunch of guys. She's like the village bicycle. But the truth of the matter is, slut shaming is actually a tactic that was more or less, used by women, for the most part. I don't think you hear guys say it until their 20s or 30s or so, but you'll hear a lot of even teenage girls call other girls sluts. And this even existed back when I was in high school too. Interesting.
Hell yeah, I have. I mean, I probably did it last week. You know what I mean? Like, I think I don't do it to people's faces, but like, misogyny runs so.
Here we go. Here we go with the victimhood. She just said, but like misogyny runs so deep, right? Right away, let's blame somebody else.
Deep. I'm gonna think bad things about a girl that's prettier than me. I'm gonna.
Hang on. Did you guys hear that? I'm going to think bad things of a girl that's prettier than me. Just got to back that up. Let's just play that back again.
It's prettier than me. I'm gonna like, oh, you know, a slut. I'm gonna think that. I went to Catholic school, so we were forced to sign chastity cards, like physical cards. We had the whole presentations where they literally would like wrap a present and then like rip it apart and kick it and be like, this is what happens when you have sex before marriage. And like, I was definitely kind of to some of my like
A little bit of a. I used to date this girl in my 20s that worked in a bad part of Toronto, and this hand movement stuff that you're seeing in the shadows. There was a term coined for that. She called it ghetto pussy.
first friends who had been like having sex for a while or whatever. It's definitely partially a product of like religion and the way that this whole country is tied into Protestantism and everything as well.
When I was in the 8th grade, there was this girl, my friend group, they would slut shame her
It's quite the shadow.
because she was always like hypersexual. And once me and her got close, I found out that she was sexually assaulted. And so, you know, ever since she told me her story, I stopped slut shaming. Even if I don't agree with what someone is doing, I just say that is their business and they will take it up with God on their judgment day. It don't got nothing to do with me.
Mm-hmm.
I've used my sexuality for personal gain.
This will be interesting.
Listen,
4 agree, 3 disagree. All right, let's see what this one here starts with. If I'm going to be oppressed, of course. Again, it's it's a victim mindset. What do I say about the victim mindset? The victim mindset, it's a loser's mindset. You want to avoid anybody that comes at you. Number 3 on my red flag list is the unhappy and the unlucky. Just stay away from these people. But here we go.
listen, if I'm gonna be oppressed for it, I'm gonna use it to my advantage when I want to. Like, it's something that is unavoidable.
If I'm going to be oppressed for it, again, the question is, I've used my sexuality for personal gain. I'm going to use it. I'm still trying to get my head around how you're oppressed today, as a woman. I mean, I've covered this in so many different shows. It's just like, it just gets old. Oh, I'm oppressed. I'm so oppressed. By whom exactly, and for what exactly? And you have the advantage, and you just admitted it right here, that you use your sexuality for personal gain, right? Guys can't use their sexuality for personal gain. Women, pretty much all of them can.
Okay, I think I misunderstood. But okay, so I like your answer. I'm gonna flip it. I was like, okay, got it. All right, right.
My whole life, I felt like I was sexualized, and I was an early bloomer too. So I felt like I was constantly sexualized as a child. And when I got like past like losing my virginity and then being groomed and then being assaulted, and
Being groomed. Oh my God, another victim. See, I said this in the book. You cannot be a feminist without being a victim simultaneously, because for them to be oppressed, for them to have oppressors, they have to be victims, right? Being groomed. I was assaulted. I was this. Like, maybe she was, right? But like, when they start talking about, I'm using these things to my advantage when I shouldn't be, you get the idea.
I got to the age where I was like, that's so f***ed up, that it was kind of like a revelation for myself, being like, if it's what'll get me like what I need, I'll use it. Yeah. Like if I'm gonna get catcalled, I might as well get something out of it.
Like not monetary personal gain, but
So the blue one is disagree. So let's hear what this one has to say.
internal personal gain.
Yeah.
Like
Okay, so she just admitted to using it for her advantage, right? She just said, oh, not for monetary reasons, but for personal reasons, I have used it. Okay.
fitting in, getting positive reinforcement, that sort of thing.
Yes.
I still feed into the insecurity of, if I'm not getting that, like what am I worth? And I feel like that's very dangerous.
Because women throughout history for millions of years have always been beauty objects. That's the way things are, right? You can never get away from that.
I'll be, getting dressed for a night out or to go out. And I'm like, why am I wanting to dress a certain way? What kind of attention do I really want to get?
What kind of attention do I really want to get? Why am I dressing this way? Again, beauty objects, attention is a currency for women. Let me grab the super chat real quick before we carry on with not all women should be believed as the next one. Hey, what's up, Rich? I'm considering joking or joining the group and community. Over the last 3 years, I've leveled up in my extremely financially, career-wise, health, etc. But one thing I'm struggling with now is women. I've never struggled with women, but I am now. I need insight. What insight do you need, man? I'm going to drop the join link. You can call in and ask whatever question you want. But I'll be honest with you, women is a part of what we talk about in the community, but it's not everything. I understand that guys need feedback and they want to run stuff up the flagpole, and we're there to help and support with that. But we talk about a lot more stuff than just, getting the chicks, right?
Not all women should be believed.
No, hear me out.
All right. So we've got 1, 2.
Okay, I'm gonna start here.
Got 6 agree and 1 disagree. So not all women should be believed. Interesting.
And then figure out if I change it later.
I'm automatically switching. I rethought this. I think that the first thing that jumped into my head that made me go with, I agree with this, is all those stupid ass white women that call the cops irresponsibly and without reason and stuff like that. That's sort of where
Stupid ass white women is where we start. Okay.
my logic went in on this. Not so much regarding SA and stuff.
Not so much regarding what is SA? Is that seeking arrangements? Not so much regarding SA and stuff like that. You guys let me know in the chat. I don't know. Was it South America? SA. What is that?
Stuff like that, because I would support any woman in that. Even if she's lying, I'm still going to believe her.
Even if she's lying, I'm still going to believe her. But we got to believe all women, right? I'm not saying, throw it all out. But come on. All? Really? Oh, okay. Yeah. Sexual assault. Thank you.
I feel like there's a line. Obviously, you believe all women when it comes to, sexual assault. But then there's the line that knowing that people are bad. There are people who want to do harm. And if they're
Believe all women when it comes to sexual assault, without proof or evidence at all? Really?
woman, then it sucks. I guess why I went with this is to say not immediately saying no right away, and to be okay, here we are, this happened, let's talk about it.
I think for me, it comes from the misogynistic,
Here we go. Misogynistic. Can somebody in the chat keep track of all the victim statements they have? Misogyny. I don't know. I've heard 3 or 4 of them now.
idea that a lot of women just lie because they're Jezebels and they're just we're just tricksters for some reason. A lot of people, specifically men, think oh well, they're just saying it to get fame or fortune or whatever. And I'm can you name one of
you guys correct me if I'm wrong in the live chat or in the comments, but for the most part, for the last few years since this Me Too stuff came out, I think most of these allegations have, for the most part, been cast aside and not been proven, with some rarities. I think even with Weinstein, for example, is that prick. But I think for the most part, most of the allegations have been cast aside. It's just not true. There wasn't sufficient evidence. But oh look, here we go. Can you name one of the people that Bill Cosby assaulted? So we're going back on this one here.
Fame or fortune or whatever. And I'm can you name one of the people that Bill Cosby assaulted? No. My initial, similar to you, is just yes, I want to hear what this woman has to say, because I've been lied to way more by men in my life than by women.
She's been lied to more by men than by women, but feminism is probably the biggest lie out there.
Canceling men is necessary for progress.
Canceling men. So the red dots again are agree. So most of them agree that canceling men is necessary. A few of them disagree. Let's see what they got.
I feel it's a double-edged.
How many times have I said this to you guys? Women always start sentences with "I feel like." Can you guys see it there on the screen? It's paused. Right underneath here. I feel like. It's a double-edged sword. You're going to hear weak men, beta males, use language, sound bites like "I feel like." Intelligent men that are unplugged use language like "I think," because they're using their brain. They're thinking things through. They're using a rational deductive process to think things through. In almost all scenarios, when women are going to approach a statement like this, for example, you're going to get "I feel like." Let's see how many more of these we actually get here too. Let's back up a little bit.
I feel like it's a double-edged sword. I'm not necessarily pro cancel culture, but I'm pro holding people accountable. But I feel like with canceling,
There it is. I feel like twice she said. She's pro holding people accountable. Can we hold women accountable though? I haven't seen it yet.
men, I feel like we saw this a lot with who was it, Andrew Tate. It was really good that we were bringing attention to it, and women saw how much of a scumbag he was. And I feel like a good amount of men did too. But at the same time, it became kind of like a joke. It became entertainment for men.
I agree with like accountability for sure. I feel like canceling.
So she made direct reference to our friend Mr. Tate being canceled there. Let me just back that up again. Let's play that just one more time.
But I'm pro holding people accountable. But I feel like with canceling men, I feel like we saw this a lot with who was it, Andrew Tate. It was really good that we were bringing attention to it, and women saw how much of a scumbag he was. And I feel like a good amount of men did too. But at the same time, it became kind of like a joke. It became entertainment for men.
I agree with like.
So because men were entertained by what he was saying, you didn't want them to hear it. So cancel him is necessary for progress. It's basically, you know, what we've arrived at here.
Accountability for sure. I
This is like the unhinged thinking that's being used.
feel like canceling someone or canceling a singer or a rapper or whatever, just like not listening to their music or not supporting them. But like men as a system, that's like not possible. They hold the power. So like not, you know, engaging with them isn't gonna like progress us any further. We have to engage with them to progress further.
You need to be able to converse with the issue to have the issue fixed. Like, because if you like run to cancel someone, then they're going to be defensive and not learn anything from it. Like if somebody really and truly, I think, should be canceled, like fully, they should just be like convicted, like put behind bars. Like,
This is where they're trying to go. Okay. I've said this for years now. Feminism, today's version, toxic feminism, is a hate and supremacy movement. She wants to put you behind bars like there's a crime, a real crime is what she's saying here. Canceling men isn't just necessary. They're saying we need to put them behind bars like it's a crime. This is the thinking used, right? I'm just going to back this up. I want you to hear it again.
if somebody really and truly, I think, should be canceled, like fully, they should just be like convicted, like put behind bars. Like there is a crime, a real crime.
Sometimes jail doesn't even work because like Bill Cosby's out of jail. Like he got out on a technicality.
And that's why you need money to get out on bullshit.
Exactly. I don't trust the system. I as much as the example I'm currently always going back to is the Brock Turner case. Because if you know, he raped a girl and he got 6 months probation, served 3 of it. And the way I've seen cancel culture help in that case, I feel like sometimes cancel culture.
I feel like, can we talk about like the very light jail sentences that women get for the exact same crime? Man commits a crime, woman commits the exact same crime. Her sentence is always much lighter, but we're not going to talk about I feel like there at all, right? Because that's going to involve some thinking and some stats.
Can step in where the law and our government and our judicial system fail.
Abortion.
Yeah, so it's about taking matters into their own hands and trying to push it further. Second last question is abortion is murder and I still support it. Let's see what they got here.
Abortion is murder, and I still support it.
I feel like it's a real question.
There we go. I feel like she started.
I don't want to get flamed for this.
No, but
I have.
So hang on, they're changing their votes.
Yeah.
Okay, so the final is 4 disagree that abortion is murder, and still support it, and 3 agree that it is murder, but still supports it. So either way, all of them support it, but some of them are saying that it is potentially murder.
So I 100%, anybody that wants an abortion should have full access, no barriers, everything. I think, and I'm not even sure I agree with saying that it's murder, but I think that sometimes people talk about abortion very callously and ignore the like trauma that is associated with it. Even if you have 0 regrets, like it's the best decision you've ever made in your life. Women that I've, listened to and heard from and read, opinions from, it's still like a traumatic experience. I don't know. I think you guys understand what I'm trying to say, but I think just the weight of it.
I wonder how many of these women have had an abortion. They do have birth control, right? They have very effective birth control. It's just bonkers that this is still a conversation piece in today's day and age. Like, I understand that there's extenuating circumstances like rape and stuff like that, but I mean, if you're dating somebody and you're not planning on having a kid, but you're going to be intimate, be on birth control, right? I mean, or just don't bang. Like, I don't understand why this is still a freaking topic.
Experience. I don't know. I think you guys understand what I'm trying to say, but I think just the weight of it now has been lessened a little bit. I think that is shifting back again, though, because of the awful recent events. But I would say for the past like 5 years or so, I've just heard it in my own community is like tossed around lightly, and I don't necessarily think that it should be handled really lightly.
I agree with like the latter half of this statement. I feel like it's like,
I feel like, hear it again. You're gonna hear a lot of this. Once you hear this, ladies and gentlemen, you're gonna hear it all the time. Whenever you're talking to women, you're gonna hear it all the time. I feel like. You're gonna hate me for it. I'm sorry, but there it is.
if it were to be considered murder, I would still support it.
Oh, yes. Okay, yeah, then yeah, I would say so.
So she just, hang it. She just said there that even if it were to be deemed as murder, she would still support it. That's the thinking that's being used here. This is what we're applying. Bizarre.
Because it's not, it's still, even if it is murder, it's not an easy choice. Like, that makes it even more of a difficult conversation, you know? It's like such a deeper thing.
This question is actually making me really emotional because I just gave birth in February, and I love my son. He's like my world. But thank you. I recently thought I was pregnant again. And,
What the hell? You just gave birth in February and you're pregnant again already? When was this recorded? October 21st.
I'm not in a position to have another baby right now. Any baby I may go on and keep, but I knew if I was pregnant this one, I wouldn't have been able to keep. So, and I just know, like some people who I know, they wouldn't have understood it. So, yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. And that's the reality, you know? It's not like people.
I don't know what to say. Like, she just gave birth in February and she thought that she was pregnant again. Like, use freaking condoms, okay? Go on birth control and use condoms.
Are maliciously trying to, you know what I mean? It's like, it's a choice. And am I going to be able to provide for myself and my already born child? Or, you know, is this going to be healthy for my mental health? It's not like you are.
No, it's not healthy for your mental health to go through that process. Absolutely not.
Maliciously trying to destroy a clump of cells.
I like how they reduce it to a clump of cells. It's just a clump of cells.
It's your life, and that matters more than, in my opinion, than any kind of potential baby.
Absolutely.
I feel like because of this,
Of the dissolve of Roe v. Wade, like, I feel like I don't even want to try to have kids anymore. Like, they're doing the opposite thing to us. There are so many women who want to try, but we've heard the stories of women who have miscarriages and go in and try to get seen by a doctor and say, we can't do that, so we call your lawyer. And I have so many health issues. I have endometriosis, I have PCOS. Like, I have everything under the female sun.
Maybe take care of yourself better. Exercise, lose weight, eat healthier food. Start there.
Could exist. I could very easily carry a pregnancy that's not good. I could very easily die from ectopic pregnancy. And the fear that if for one day this expanded and it reached where I live, I could die, you know? And it's so scary. And it deters women like me who are on the fence.
So she's trying to say that if I get pregnant, I could die. And if I don't have access to abortion, then that's not good for me. This logic.
From even wanting to have kids.
It's not even logic, it's just feeling.
The future isn't female.
as much as I want to fight for.
All right. Statement. The future isn't female. We've got 5 that agree and 2 that disagree. Let's see what they got.
It. I see this misogyny in my brothers, and my father even told me when I was in high school. I asked him, I said, "Do you think men are superior to women?" And he said, "Yeah," to my face. I'm his eldest daughter, his only daughter. So that hurts, and to see that, it puts a really gray tone over the world for you.
I guess I'm super radical, and I'm like, just end all of this stuff. And so I feel like feminism is for the time being. I want to end gender as a whole. I think it's binding. And
What the hell did she just say? I want to end gender as a whole?
is for the time being. I want to end gender as a whole.
I want to end gender as a whole because I think it's binding. It's like saying I want to end the sun, or I want to end the oceans and the sea. How do you end something that's... Guys, I'm sorry I'm putting you through this, but this is just to prove a point. Okay, this is just being a fly on the wall. Listen to them be as honest as they want to be on these statements.
I think it's binding and it's oppressive. So I feel like the future is neither female nor male.
I don't know. I do like the concept of gender because to some degree, it is not who we are as a whole, but it does make us. I like identifying as a woman. And also,
if you're born as a woman and you can get pregnant and give birth, you're a woman. You can identify as a stapler if you want, but you're still female.
I'll challenge that by saying who are going to be the ones to be the voices for queer people and non-binaries, because it's not going to be cis hetero men.
You're gonna have to forgive me as a older gentleman, a seasoned gentleman, but when I read this stuff, I mean, the sentence reads, for queer people and non-binaries, because it's not going to be cis hetero men. I don't even know what cis hetero men means.
That's true.
It's going to be
I'm
women.
gonna Google that shit in a minute.
We're gonna have you put your masks back on. Thank you so much.
Jesus. These guys asked me to come and participate on a panel at one point. Cis hetero men. That would be the kind of shit that I would have had to put up with. There's no direct definition. There's cisgender on Wikipedia. Cisgender often shortened. There's cis, sometimes means cissexual is a term used to describe a person whose gender identity corresponds with their sex assigned at birth. Are we just making up words now to make these people feel better? I feel. What's the problem with the world? This is something that's going on. It is what it is. All right. Well, that's what you get when the gals are honest about these statements. Lots of feelings. I feel like. You guys are going to curse me because now you're going to hear that everywhere. I'm going to grab the invite link. Call in and ask a question on, this topic if you want, anything you want. We're going to do open Q&A. Anything goes. Or questions. All right. There's a link. Make sure you got a good connection, please. And ideally, headphones always help. I'm going to pin that to the top of the YouTube chat. And I'm going to drop the YouTube link to all chat. So if you guys are watching this somewhere else on the interwebs, head on over and click that link there. I'm going to run the ad reel, pay some bills, and we'll do some Q&A. This episode is brought to you by the Unplugged Alpha Supplements and Grondike Soap Company. Brothers, if you're like me and you take what you put in your body seriously, you'll want to use the Unplugged Alpha Supplements. An obsession with absorption is what sets this line apart from the others. You want to make sure that you absorb as much of the supplements as possible so you don't end up peeing out expensive urine. My supplement line is made in the United States from the highest quality domestic ingredients. And unlike cheaper supplements from China in plastic bottles, mine ship in dark glass bottles to keep your supplements fresher, longer, and won't seep endocrine disrupting plastics into your supplements. Nothing is a hard tablet. Everything is in an easily digestible, bioavailable capsule. You can filter all products by various categories including testosterone support, estrogen metabolism, fat burning, immune health, sleep support, and performance. Visit theunpluggedalpha.com/shop and use the subscribe and save option to get 10% off your supplement orders, or use coupon code ALPHA10 for 10% off a one-time order to try it out. And I use Tactical Soap and God of War beard oil every day. Tactical Soap is a handmade product made in the United States from ingredients you can actually pronounce, not conventional endocrine-lowering toiletry chemicals. Both the soap and the beard oils are infused with bioidentical pheromones that are designed by a clinical psychologist and pheromone expert to maximize attractiveness to the opposite sex. Go visit coopersoap.com and get 10% off your order today. Guys, check out my website at richcooper.ca for more information on booking me for coaching, my community, my courses, and a whole bunch more. You can also find all the useful links pinned below in the top YouTube comment of all my videos. Now let's get on with the show. Let's do this. Q&A is open. The link is pinned to the top of the YouTube chat. Bring your questions. Let's hit DL Saint first. Let's see what he's got for us today.
What's good, brother? How you doing?
Born man.
Thanks for bringing me up. Appreciate it, man.
What do you got for me?
I was wondering your thoughts on, I know you're in Canada, and I'm not quite sure how y'all legal system, family court system works. I think it's similar to what we have down here. But do you see a change coming when it comes to alimony, child support, and or custody? Because oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Finish your statement.
My take on this, and I've asked Rolo on this. He was on Fresh and Fit, I don't know, 6-8 months ago, something like that. I sent in a super chat. I asked his thoughts on the same thing. I'm coming from the point that, women down here in America, they're in school, they're graduating higher than men, they're getting higher paying jobs, and the system, at least down here, is beginning to turn on them in the sense that they're the higher earners. Now they're getting hit with alimony, they're getting hit with child support. And I was thinking, like, this is going to be a sea change. They're not going to allow women to pay dudes. I was wondering what your take is on that.
Yeah, so when family law comes around and bites the ladies in the butt, they don't like it. They really don't like it. I've seen a lot of pushback on it from women that have to deal with the consequences of, well, I kept him home and he was a stay-at-home dad, or he made less money than I did, sort of thing. And then they see how guys are normally treated. But the problem, though, is that, 80-90% of the time, it's probably about 90% of the time, men earn more money than women. And I can state that factually because for years I did private lending deals, and I would look at applications. Every single one of them, I'd look at the appraisals, I'd look at the applications, and I'd always look at income. And I think with the exception of maybe one out of a few hundred deals, Mr. always made more money than Mrs. Okay, like take home. So I don't think that there's going to be a push from women, getting together saying, oh, we need to equalize these laws, because why would they when they're benefiting from them? I don't see it happening in Canada. There's states in the US. The best that you can do in the US, I did a podcast the first week of January this year on this playlist, and I had a guest on, I can't remember his name, but he did, it was a nonprofit, and he had organized all the best states for fathers. You can go back and look at the podcast to get the exact details, but there's a few states, I think Tennessee, Texas, Arizona, Florida. Those are the ones that pop right now, have like default 50-50 custody. So I don't think you're going to get away from alimony, like unless there's like a state issue. But as far as custody and child support, that's what really hurts dads. Like I've seen men cry over, them. They don't really care about the money. Like you can make money back. You can't make back time that you lose with your kids. And if she's got the kids 80-90% of the time and money's flowing to her, and then he watches her just alienate him from the kids and he doesn't have a word in edgewise, that's very, very difficult. That's when guys get desperate. That's when they start thinking like, I'm going to put a noose around my neck, or I'm going to put a Remington, in my mouth, sort of thing. It's not a good scenario to be in. So for guys, I mean, if you live in the States, at least you have the option to move to one of these states where family legislation isn't as hostile. It's more equal. It's like, okay, if you get divorced, we share custody, unless one parent can prove the other parent's like a degenerate cocaine dealer or something like that.
Right.
It's just a default scenario. So that doesn't exist in Canada, which is why I would never tell anybody to have kids in Canada. I mean, if they want to square themselves away properly, but there are some states in the US where at least you're still going to have good access to your kid. You might lose some of your estate. You might have to pay a little bit of alimony, but at least you got access to your kid and you're not going to get raped with child support the way that they talk about.
Yeah, Kentucky's one of those states. For anyone listening, if you're down here in America, stay out of California, stay out of New York. You know what I mean? Listen to what this brother over here is saying. Let me get my finger. Listen to what this brother's up here saying. He knows what he's talking about. Another thing too, I'm noticing with women, in particular in the African American community down here, there are women out here paying tens of thousands of dollars, $10,000-$15,000 a head for female coaches to teach them how to get and retain a high value man. Are you aware of any of this? Have you seen any of these videos floating around?
Yeah, I've seen a few of them. I've seen some of the TikToks. I've commented on them from time to time. I actually made a video today in my car. I was talking about this very topic where these female empowerment, like high status women, where they're like, if you want to get a successful guy, then you have to make sure you get him to take you out to dinner on the first date. And when you go out to dinner on the first date, you have to order the most expensive thing on the menu, sort of thing. So they have this whole strategy lined up. And I mean, I'm not going to give it away because I want you guys to watch the video when it comes out on the Entrepreneurs and Cars channel. But that'll be out in the next week or two. But yeah, there's lots of that going around where they're basically teaching or coaching women how to find wealthy, essentially beta males, right? Like an alpha male is not going to be like nodding their head at everything. The alpha male is going to be like, yo, you're going to wear that dress and I'm going to pick you up at this time and this is where we're going. And that's it, right? And if she's like, well, I only go out with guys if we're going to have dinner, it's just like, I don't give a fuck. I'm just going to grab my phone. I'm going to go to the next girl, right? Right. And I mean, it's so many guys. And like last time you brought me on, and thank you for the advice. When I was talking about these guys who won't let go, these guys who refuse to cut away. And it's like you said, brother, I'm paraphrasing, but you can lead a horse to the water, but you cannot make them drink, even if you push them in. So it's just like, you know what? Rich is right. And it's hard for him. I just sit there and I listen to him. I'm like, it's like, hey, man, good luck to you, brother. Let me know how that works out. Those are like my two go-to phrases when they ask me some stuff like, bro, you're getting wrecked. Like, why do you want to be with this woman? Well, you don't know her like I know her. I'm like, I know how the laws work down here. I know you about to get wrecked, homie. So it's so funny. And just real quick, one of the events that I saw was at an American football game. This coach rented a suite. She rented a suite and charged $10,000 a head, and the thing was sold out, right, for these women, these women who don't even like American football because they were sold on the idea they're going to get a high value man. And these women, these poor women, were older, and their body wasn't there, and I felt bad for them. But at the end of the day, it's like, man, if you're gonna pay $10,000 for the Pinto and you happy with it, more power to you. But I just thought it was hilarious. Yeah, some of them are sitting on a lot of cash from their divorce, and they'll do whatever they can to get placed in the right room so they have access to round 2 or round 3 or whatever their next victim might happen to look like, right?
Man, that's what's up. Well, keep leading from the front, brother. Thanks for having me up here. I appreciate talking to you.
Thank you. Take care. Let's grab Clay here, see what he's got for us. What's up, buddy?
Hey, how you doing, brother?
Good, man. How you doing?
Oh, better than I deserve, man.
What do you got for me tonight?
I just had to call in and let you know this past weekend I pushed back on my LTR. Things were getting rocky. She was hopping on the crazy train, as I like to call it. Mm-hmm. And I just had too much of it. And I just said, that's it. I have 10 years. I'm 55. And in my mind, I have 10 years to become more successful and to be able to move on to another project. And I said, you can come along for the ride if you want, or you can go your own way, but this is the way it's going to be. And I never pushed back like that before. And we rode our bicycles to the bar, and we had the chat. And she thought that, that she just couldn't believe the different person that I was. And on the way back, she said, I'm going to give you the best BJ of your life. And you know what I mean, man? Like, it's just.
So you told her it's going to be like that, and that turned her on.
Yeah.
Okay. Did she leave or is she
yeah.
still with you?
She's still with me. She
Okay.
lives in a different city, so it's a little ways away. But
Okay.
man, I knew that it would work because in relationships before, you know, I'm divorced as well as you. I lost everything in the divorce, as in addition to my mojo, and it took me forever to get away from alcohol and to get back, you know, on my feet.
Mhm.
And promised myself that you know, like I would never give in. And of course, I turned back again, and so
You're
anyways,
just talking about holding frame, Clay. That's
yeah.
you know, that's all you're talking about, and that's the most important component when you're in a long-term relationship or a marriage, is that your frame needs to be the dominant frame in that
Yeah.
equation. She wants that. She wants to be led by a giant. She wants to be, you know, she wants to go through your story. Now, that's only if you have a story worth telling. That's only if you have a life worth sharing, you know, with her that she wants to be a part of. So you can't hold
Yeah.
frame and be a nobody,
That's
if
right.
you know what I'm saying, right? Like you
Yeah,
have to have something
absolutely.
going on in your life if you're going to hold frame and set some boundaries and say this is the way that it's going to be. You try that without something going on, you're not going to be met very warmly. She's just going to walk out.
Oh yeah, I mean you're playing cards like with a shitty hand, right? So
Yeah.
you know, you're absolutely right. But anyway, I just want to let you and the viewers know, and you know what? If it all went to shit, so what? There's what 3 billion women on the planet?
4.
Oh man.
But I don't know how many genders there are. I mean, apparently.
All
we
right,
know some
don't
of
get
these
started
folks.
on that. But as an aside, the word gender actually was created in the 50s to replace in texts the word sex because sex was offensive.
Mm.
That's where gender came from.
Oh, is
These
that
clowns,
right?
oh yeah, these clowns, they've got it's ridiculous.
You guys want to hear a funny joke?
Yes.
If I had $1 for every gender, I'd have $2 and a whole bunch of counterfeits.
Oh, boom.
All right.
Man, it's
See you
great
later,
to hear
Clay.
you. Yeah, see you, Mug. Take
Hey,
care.
buddy. Again, guys, if you want to call in, ask a question, the link is on the YouTube channel. It's pinned at the top, and I'm just going to grab the link for you again. If you want to hop on in, I'll put it in all chat. Super chat from DL, gentleman was just on. Great show, great topic. Keep leading from the front. Appreciate it. Thanks for the support, man. All right, let's see what Zach has for us here. On reversing betaization. Okay, just unmute yourself, buddy.
Yeah, hi, Rich.
How you doing?
Am I coming through?
Yeah. Okay. What do you got for me?
All right. So, sorry, no cam. I'm in a female-dominated career path, so having my face in this would be a death sentence.
No problem.
But
I'll keep
let
you
your
enough.
content, thank you. And
Mhm.
just the concept of betaization through 1,000 concessions, I completely understand. But reversing it or turning it back onto the woman, is that possible? Or would you just say that's maintaining frame?
What do you mean by turning it back onto the woman?
Like using the tactic of betaization through 1,000 concessions.
Oh,
like
you're talking about having her sort of simp for you.
Yeah.
Interesting question. Let me contemplate that for a sec. So, do men put women through a process? I guess falling head over and heels in love with a guy might be a similar sort of thing, but I don't think women simp for guys the way that I've seen men do it for women. So the answer to that would be no. It's similar, but it's not the same. Like many things with men and women, you know, there's a lot of similarities, but there's also some pretty significant differences. So you're talking about reversing it. Did you go through this process like over the last year or so with somebody that you're seeing?
Oh, I was in a 7-year on and off relationship with a girl that was just an absolute nightmare.
Okay, so
but I've reversed it.
It's a process that you went through.
Well, it was in high school. It was just a bunch of like the standard dorky stuff, you know.
Yeah.
Now
so yeah, like to your point, it is about maintaining frame. You don't look. There's like a point of no return where it's like, you know, if you're digging a hole, it's actually easier to keep digging to come out the other side. You know what I'm saying? I think that for most guys, by the time they realize they've gone through betaization through 1,000 concessions, they're at maybe like concession number 963. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's when they reach the realization, like, shit, you know, I just stamped everything yes for the last 2-3 years. She's gotten used to the fact that I say yes all the time. You know, for most guys, to be honest with you, I mean, if you're at that point, it's easier to start fresh with a new relationship where you can hold frame from the get-go. If you've gone through years of yes, honey, yes, whatever you want, you know, we'll move here, yes, we'll renovate this, yes, we'll go to this event, and you're just yes, 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 you're just stamping everything yes, you're kind of fucked, right? Because it's like, what do you do? Like, one day you get up and you go, you know what, I'm going to say no for once. She's going to be like, excuse me? She's going to, like, you know, she's not going to take it seriously. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I understand.
'Cause,
Also,
I mean, like, if she sees you as a beta, she's always going to see you as a beta. It's very difficult to go from, you know, the beta mindset, the plugged in guy, to the unplugged alpha sort of thing with the same chick when she sees you as that. Very difficult. If anybody's ever done it, I'd like to hear about how you did it, because I've not seen it.
right. Okay. And I have one more question about if you agree with Rolo on something.
Okay.
So he said something to the effect of, for the guys that understand the red pill and all that stuff, like, cool, you can be friends with them.
Mhm.
But for everyone that isn't, or they fight it more than like just using pure logic, just it's like reading reading last rites to the dying. Are you in agreement of that? You co-sign that?
Okay, so I'm not sure I understand the question. So if somebody's a plugged in beta male,
Yeah,
you
like,
want
is it?
to just read them their last rites and just say, you know, that's just who they are?
Yeah, like, would you say there's a point where like you really could bring them in, or would you say like it really is just based on what trauma they experience?
You can show them the light. You can hand them a book. You can text them a link to a video that might start the process for them. But, you know, it's like we just talked with what was his name there? DL Saint. You know, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. Sometimes you can even shove them in the water, but they still won't drink, right? For most guys, it's the trauma, the chaos in their life that brings them to a point where they start using their rational mind, and they stop saying things like I feel like, and they start using language like I think. And then they come to the awakening and they unplug from it. And they're like, okay, now I need to go deeper down this rabbit hole to see where it really goes, to see what else is there. So, you know,
Right.
Rolo's got his own, you know, opinions and way of seeing things. And, you know, we're not that different, you know, when it comes to approaches. I've got some different ideas, obviously. And, you know, I do what works for me, and what I've seen works, you know, for the thousands of guys that I work with. So as far as trying to unplug people, I don't think it's a good use of your time. It's like, look, you know, you put a light on it. You're like, hey, look, you know, this is a GoPro battery. You know, you can see it's a GoPro battery. It's got all the signs of a GoPro battery. But if you can't see that's a GoPro battery, then just put it down and walk away from it, and then just leave the guy alone, because he's not going to see it. He's going to see whatever he wants to see. That's basically what it boils down to, right?
Yeah. And by the way, everyone, Rich is completely right. Once you start hearing the I feel like, it will drive you absolutely up the wall. I work with, it's just me and 6 other women in my job, basically, and I hear I feel like every 30 seconds, and it makes me, it's awful.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Sorry, guys. Hate to do it to you, but, you know, this is just part of the process.
Yeah. Also, read the
See ya,
book.
Zach.
Phenomenal. All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, buddy. And again, guys, if you've read the book, do me a solid and head over to Amazon and leave a quick review if you haven't gotten it. It's available in print, Kindle, and Audible. And the follow-up to it, where I take you further down the rabbit hole, is going to be out before the end of next year. We got Mike Tyson in the house, guys. Are you ready? Mike Tyson is here. We are going to bring Mike Tyson in. Got a good one. Need some help. All right, here we go. All right, Mikey, what's up, buddy?
Yo, this is crazy, man. I've been watching you forever, and I'm actually I read the book a couple of times too, man.
You're here.
So I'll try to make this short. I'm a travel nurse, man. I've been I met my girl on a assignment. We've been dating 3 years, and towards the end of it, bro, she just she kind of just fucking she was like, hey, I'm not feeling this anymore. I think we need some time apart, some shit like that. And so I said, fuck it. You take your time apart. I've heard you say this before, Richard. I said, fuck it. You know, I'm out of here. I took my shit and I got out. Within a week, I said, you know what? I tried to take her out on a date, but she was like, I don't want to get your hopes up. I was like, then fuck it. I won't. That's the next day. She went on a date with some guy, and I realized they were fucking, and it's been, I don't know. I'm just fucking going through it. And yeah, I realized they were fucking. And
who's the guy? Was this the guy that she was working with, or?
I don't know. I have no clue. I have no clue where she found the guy. But
I don't know if you have seen this meme, but I got to put it up on the screen because it's sort of relevant to what we're talking about here. This is the "I just need some space" meme. Dude's got his face in his hands and she's looking the other way saying, I just need some time. And then we've got the space over here.
It's a bitch, man.
And that's just, you know, it's just the reality of what it is, man. You know, it sucks to see it, you know, especially when you're in a position like Mike's at, but, you know, accepting it for what it is. So the next time you hear it, I mean, like if you ever deal with that shit, she's like, I just need some space. You know, we need some time apart.
And I'll say my question is, how do I get over this hurt quickly, man? Because I'm like 2 weeks into it, and I've been trying to work out. You know, my buddy told me that 28.
How many times you gone through this before?
This is my third go. This is my third go, man. Yeah,
it's got the I need some space. Like she lied to you, and then your safe world sort of collapses.
There's even a worse one before, but yeah.
Okay, so this is why, you know, when I say shit like she ain't yours, you know, it's just your turn.
Yeah,
nothing's permanent. And then there's, you know, those religious guys that get pissed off. It's not true. It's like, yeah, okay, well, then welcome to Mike. You know, like we're talking to Mike here, and this is his third time around. I've been through it a bunch of times too, right? Like there's a lot of guys out there right now going, you know, been there, done it, got the t-shirt. You know, women aren't sugar and spice and all things nice. And there's some women that'll lie to you. In fact, most women do lie, which is why you have to judge them by their behavior. So here's the thing. See, where can I start with you on this?
Yeah, no. Right.
Lean into the pain. It's okay. You're going to get through it. Doesn't matter. It's like pain is there to teach you something. Okay. That's what pain is. It's there to teach you something. It's like I fucked up and I hurt my neck the other day at the dojo. I was sparring yesterday and I got a hook to the side of the head. I'm wearing a headgear. I got a hook to the side of the head. I didn't block. I didn't get it the fuck out of the way. So now I'm dealing with pain. What is this pain teaching me? Either block the fucking hit next time or get out of the way.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you start to see it coming, the guy's winding up, you know, you see the movement coming. When you start to see it coming and she's behaving differently, she's colder, she's withdrawn, she's more distant, she's spending more time with friends, sort of things. That's when you start, you know, okay, what's going on here? Like what's really happening? Because it looks like to me, and this is a conversation that you have, you know, like it looks like to me like you've got one foot out the door.
Yeah.
Well, what do you mean I got it? And, you know, she'll get all defensive and shit, and that's not what's going on. And maybe that's not what's going on, but maybe it is what's going on. But at least, you know, you've drawn a line in the sand and you've set a boundary and you're like, look, I'm not a goof. I see what's happening. What's going on? Because if you're out, you're out. Like leave. You know, the door's unlocked. It's going to be locked if you try to come back in. Heads up. Okay. Like, homie, don't play games like that. Right. So you'll be ready for it next time. You'll be more prepared. You'll see it coming. The problem is that, see, I got this from my old buddy from the Before the Trainwreck series, right? Sean Smith. And, you know, he said to me one time, he goes, we create a safe world theory in our heads, right? Like we build this. I'm a traveling nurse. I did the right thing. You know, we built this life together. You know, we did all these, you know, we went to this city and I went to that city because she went to, and I did all this shit and I ego invested in the relationship and I gave her what she wanted. I went to her family events and I traveled to where she wanted to. And I wore the fucking outfit that she wanted me to that event. Also. Okay. And then you start to add all this shit up and this house of cards starts to pile up and it gets real high. Okay. And then all of a sudden, you know, this thing now becomes a safe world thing, you know, in your head because you rely on it because it's there. It doesn't move. But all it takes is like Kevin from sales to come along and pull out that one card. And then a whole fucking thing comes crumbling down. And then your theory that led to the safe world just ends. And you're like, what the fuck? I was lied to. Okay. This entire thing that I built was a lie and it came crumbling down. So, you know what? Unfortunately for guys, I don't think we deal with breakups as well as women do.
Mm-mm.
There's the war bride theory. I don't know if you've heard of it.
Yeah, I've heard of it. Yeah.
Okay, so you know it, so I don't need to repeat it.
Yeah,
But
all that. Yeah.
yeah, you know, women just seem to get over breakups a lot quicker than guys do, and women also initiate breakups a lot more than guys do, right? Like guys tolerate a lot of shit. Women, they don't, you know. If
Well, yeah,
things
well,
aren't
they're
going
told
their
they're
way.
beautiful immediately. You know, you're beautiful. I'd like to
Yeah.
take you on it. Yeah.
And they have unlimited options. You know, let's be
Mhm.
honest. You know, and you know, like a good-looking guy doesn't have as many options as a good-looking woman.
Mhm.
Okay, and women are never really single. Even when they're with somebody, they're always talking to somebody. So there's all these like narratives that I sort of drop out there, and it's like, it's cool, you know, man. Like, you know,
And
deal with
see,
women.
and Rich, I'm grinding 16-hour shifts. I have a plan, a goal. This is a huge fucking curveball. And I mean, I know I should. I've already like, so I've been with a couple of chicks already, trying to, you know, get over it. But I got these big goals that I'm working on, them, and I'm close to attaining them, and it just fucks up I don't mean to cuss, but it just messes up the head. You know,
How
trying
long?
to
How
stay
long?
focused.
How long? How long did you date her for? What was the total time?
3 years, 3 years total. No respect at the end of it. Just
You'll
it
be
took her a week.
you'll be shocked to know that it might take you 3 years to fully forget about her.
Yeah.
Legit. You know, like it is what it is. Like if you're with a chick for 7 years, you're probably going to think about her a lot for the first year. After, then it's going to start to slowly, trickle down. By about year 7, you're never even going to think about her ever again. She'll be gone.
Yeah.
Like a fart in the wind. Okay. So that's the reality of when you invest into a relationship over a long-term basis. Women don't invest in the same way that you do. And that's fine. That's just the way that is. Like, I'm not saying don't deal with women. I'm not saying don't invite them into your life, but be careful about the ones that you invite into your life. Like there's certain things that you can do to maintain the frame. There's certain things that you can do to reduce the exposure to Kevin from sales or Steve from accounting or whoever, whoever it was that she got with, right?
Yeah.
It's like, did she have social media? Was she posting provocative pictures?
That was the problem, because she had her IG. She lost a little bit of weight, and she's putting like her leggings on. When I'm like, hey, look, I don't really mess with that, and she knew that. I was like, don't put up. You're beautiful. I get you're beautiful, but I only want to see you. The internet doesn't need to see you. And she's like, I'm a diamond. A diamond needs to be put in the light to sparkle, some shit like that.
Get the fuck out of here.
I know.
Right there. It's get the fuck out of here with that shit.
I know. Yeah.
I would have put my foot down and say, you know what? You're actually going to delete the Instagram.
I know.
If that's more important to you.
I simped too much, man. I simped way too much, man.
But you're not going to do it next time.
No, I won't. Man. I appreciate you, Richard, man.
I appreciate you, Mike.
I've been listening to you for a while, man. You introduced me to a lot of people and made a lot of different things happen in my life. It's crazy that I'm talking to you. I really appreciate you, man.
Do me a solid. If you got value out of the call, if you got value out of my book, go to Amazon and tell other
already
people
did it. You already did
where
it.
They want to go.
You're the man. Appreciate you, brother.
Thanks, Mike. Take care. All right. See who else we got. We got Morgan. It says devices not connected, so you need a mic, Morgan. Apparently you don't have a mic working, so I don't know if you can plug in a headphone or something like that, but we can there we go. Let's try that. Hey Morgan, how you doing?
Oh wow, oh my gosh. Hi.
You're on.
Okay, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, what do you got for me tonight?
Yeah. You know what? I'm not quite sure. I think this is just my first time joining. I guess maybe I'm just curious.
Did you have a question?
Yeah, I think I have one coming.
Okay.
I think I'm just curious where you stand in relation to the topic that you posted. Like
Where I
what your
stand
thoughts
in
are.
relation to
Yeah, the topic that you posted.
which one? If feminists were honest?
Yeah.
Did you watch the start of the show?
Yeah, I did.
That's where I stand. Did you need some clarity on one of the points, or?
I did hear a lot of the points that were made by the women.
Mm-hmm.
I guess just from your authentic view, what is your, not so much stance on the points that they made, but just, I guess I would say, of feminism all around. My idea is that you probably lean a little bit more against it, from what I understand.
Well, look, I mean,
I'm
there
not
was a
saying in
point
a
to
judgmental way.
feminism. There was a point to feminism, you know, like at one point in history, right? Like women wanted to vote, so they kind of got together and they got that, and then they wanted this, and then they wanted that, and they got that.
Yeah, sure.
I don't think there's anything that women don't get today that men get. And in fact, many people would argue that women have significant advantages over men. And, you know, I was once asked, you know, if you could come back rich, you know, if you were, you know, if I could take away your life and you could come back, you know, again tomorrow in a new body, would you come back as a man or a woman? And I said, you know what? In today's world, I would come back as a beautiful woman.
Oh my.
Because it's much easier for women to navigate. Now, of course, I would know the things that I know right now. You know, that's the way that I'm looking at it is, you know, do I get to know what I get to know right now, sort of thing. But the whole problem with feminism, I mean, like, as you heard, is that it's all built around the feels. It's all built around, you know, I'm a victim. And that's the biggest problem with it is for you to be a feminist, you have to adopt a victim mindset. And for you to have a victim mindset, you have to have an oppressor. And if you have an oppressor, that's somebody that you don't like. And who's the oppressor? It's always the guy. That's why you hear things like misogyny and the patriarchy, and they make up all these stories about women making less money for the same jobs that guys do. But if that was true, then corporations would hire only women to do the job. So it just becomes like a whingy, whiny sort of thing. You see what I'm saying, Morgan?
Yeah, no, I hear you. It's definitely a battle on both sides for some reason.
Why do you ask? Are you a feminist?
No, no.
What do you think of feminism?
I think if I answered directly, I would say I don't think of feminism. But if I answered to answer your question, I would probably say I'm pretty close to how you feel about it. There's some benefits to it throughout the history. I think in the context of relationship, it can be more damaging than good.
Well, look, I mean, if you want a strong masculine guy, I don't think very many strong masculine men, which is what most women seem to want anyway, would put up with a bossy, disagreeable woman that is going to play the victim card all the time, right? They just tend to avoid them. So is it good for relationships? Not really, but that's where we are today.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, no, I mean, there wasn't too much to say. It's my first time here. I appreciate you explaining to me what you think about it. It was really clear.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks, Morgan.
Yeah, take care.
See ya. All right. Let's see what else we got here. Guys, again, the link to join is pinned in the top comment of the YouTubes. So bring some questions. We got a little bit of time still. We'll take a few more. What do you feel? Let me take a look at the chat here, see what's going on. Yeah, so Jaron was talking about the prior guy, Mike. 3 years from now, you think good riddance, your value will increase, yours will decrease, in future will not realize she's not good enough for you. You get mad at yourself when you tolerate stuff, guys, right? Like just looking at certain behavior that you allow, disrespectful behavior that men allow, which leads to the problem. So it leads to the problem that you create. Here, I actually tweeted this out today, which is kind of relevant, you know, to the point. This is why guys get pissed off, I think. Okay. This new prime minister. Did you guys see this new prime minister? He's another globalist puppet. He's talking about CBDCs. Sorry, I'm just scrolling through my timeline here. There's that. Stay away from people that act like a victim in a problem that they create. Now, Mike Tyson, our friend that called in earlier, I don't think that he was acting like a victim. I think that he realized that he contributed somewhat to the problem that was created. Although you see, guys, this constantly comes up. Dudes have like this goal of a relationship, a girlfriend, a fiance, a wife. This comes up in my group from time to time, and guys are like, I'm going to get married, you know, 2, 3, 4 times sort of thing. And it's like, okay, fine. you know, and they'll talk about, you know, I'm rich. I have a giant D. I've got lots of money. I've got lots of experience. So, you know, I can make this work. But the most important component of a long-term relationship, and I'm telling you this as a guy that's done this for quite a few years now, since I've unplugged, like I am the motherfucking unplugged alpha, right? Like, you know, this is something that I think about a lot, and I'm going to be putting all this in detail into courses. I'm going to be having some mini courses coming out. So, you know, you're going to hear this here first. There's going to be some mini courses coming out at a much lower price point than the School of Entrepreneurship, probably around $200, $250 or something like that. Unplugged Alpha's Guide to Dating, Unplugged Alpha's Guide to LTR Marriages, Unplugged Alpha's Guide to Divorce, Unplugged Alpha's Guide to Self-Care. So I'm going to break down the main components. So one of the things with LTR is that just about every guy gets wrong, and I'm going to give this away for free, is the frame component of it. And like, you know, our friend here that was in a 3-year LTR with the nurse, and they're traveling around, the traveling nurses sort of things. I know that some people have issues with nurses. I think the general consensus by men out there today is that there's certain professions where women are more promiscuous than others. And I think that nurses got caught up in that vortex. So generally speaking, I think most guys that have had any experience with nurses have found them to be incredibly promiscuous. They're also around very successful, wealthy doctors too a lot. Now, not all doctors are alpha males. A lot of them are goofs, but they do get a lot of exposure to a ton of different people, you know, because of the work that they do. But frame is something that you can control from the get-go. So he ran into the problem where she loses the weight, and then she does, oh, I'm a diamond, so you have to shine on a diamond, and the light has to come on it. And the only way you can do that is if you have a public Instagram and take, you know, provocative photographs. That's like at year 3. You get to that part at year 3. At year 1, when you start dating a chick, like as soon as a chick's like, hey, Rich, I dig your vibe. Where do we stand? We've been seeing each other for a while. I want to claim you. I don't want anybody else to have you. Can we be exclusive? Blah, blah, blah. As soon as you get to that point, that's when you start looking at her going, okay, she doesn't have any of my red flags, daddy issues. She's not a feminist. She's not unhappy or unlucky. She doesn't try to compete with me. She doesn't keep men around from her past. She's not poor with money. She's, you know, she knows how to deal with money. She's not violent. She doesn't have extreme jealousy. She's not a party girl. She doesn't have tattoos or piercings. She doesn't have a big notch count. Not a single mom. She doesn't seek validation online. She's not a sugar baby. She's not a pathological liar. Doesn't have baby rabies. Doesn't throw hissy fits. I'm in full control of the birth control. She's not a drama queen, and she doesn't have an addictive personality. That's when I would be like, okay, she doesn't have any of those things, or maybe there's one thing there or two things there. That's when you bring it up and you're like, you know, let's pick one here off the list. Number 13, seeking validation. You know, I like you too, but I noticed that you have your Instagram public, and it looks like you're posting, you know, relatively provocative photographs of yourself to the public. I like you too, but I don't date women that do that, right? Like I just can't take you seriously, right? I mean, what are you looking for here? You know, exactly. Like, is this like, what is the where do we stand talk? Like, what do you want this relationship that you're painting right now to look like? Because you can't have that conversation 3 years down the road like he tried to, where he was like, you know, I don't really like these photographs. You know, this isn't going to work out for me. And she's like, well, I'm a diamond in the rough. You have to shine on me, and I got to put my tits out there for everybody to see. You're kind of screwed at that point, right? So by the time you get to year 3 and you've gone through betaization, through a few concessions, by the time she's gotten away with a few things, or maybe piled on some more things, maybe year 1 she had no tattoos and piercings, but by year 3 she's got 5 of them or something like that. Maybe she's throwing hissy fits, you know, and you're not setting those boundaries and stopping it from happening. That's what frame is, and that's not explained enough. And I'm going to explain it in in-depth detail in that course material when I put it out. But that's an incredibly important part of that entire equation. Mike's in the chat still. He says, it's my fault. And if I have a kind and submissive woman, it's my fault if I have a bossy and narcissistic woman. Absolutely right. I'm keeping myself busy and focused. I'm documenting this whole process on my newly created YouTube. Mike Tyson. I'm going to change it eventually to World is Yours. Thanks, Rich. Cheers, buddy. Thanks for the super chat. And yeah, let's see how it unfolds. Let me know how you make out. But yeah, it's at that start. It's at that beginning point where she's like, where do we stand? I want to claim you, that you're in the best position to say, cool, but I don't date girls that post provocative pictures on Instagram or have Snapchats, or, you know, they hide their phone or they turn it down, or they're like, you know, doing this sort of stuff when you're around. Like, there's any number of behaviors which it's not controlling, it's just setting healthy boundaries, right? Like, I don't park my McLaren next to a piece of shit rusted ass truck in a big parking lot when I can park it over there away from something that's going to hit it, right? It's just being in, and I lock it when I walk away from it. I don't leave it unlocked and throw the key on the seat. I lock it and I walk away from it. I park it in a responsible, well-lit area, especially if it's at nighttime, it's under light. And I look around, are there cameras, right? Like, that's what you do. It's the same thing when you get into an LTR. You make sure that you take appropriate steps, especially if she's doing the where do we stand and I want to claim you, or if she's going hardcore on you and I want to be monogamous, I don't want anybody else to see you. Fine. Okay. If that's where you're at, but these things need to happen for this to work out, because homie, you don't play that game. You don't want to do that? Get the fuck out of here. Right. And you'll be in a good position to do that and not really care, because you'll be spinning plates and you'll have options. Anyway, I'll get into more detail on that later. Let's go back to these call-ins. We got we got Mick Dundee here. Mick.
Hey mate, how are you?
Good, mate.
Good, thanks. Mate, first of all, I'd like to say I have a bone to pick with you, mate.
Go.
The thing is, I haven't seen an Australian caller calling on this show, and I'm not sure why.
I've had a few, actually.
Yeah, I think it's a great content. You know, awesome content that you're providing to the whole world. I've told about your books to plenty of my friends, and you know, one of the guys, like three of them actually bought it, right? And they said excellent book and stuff. So, but the reason I'm calling today is, you always say, mate, everyone asks questions, nobody provides some value. So I thought, you know, maybe I'll start providing some bit of intel about Australia, so people might start calling more, and you might get a bit more traffic from Australia too.
Okay.
The thing I wanted to say now, I'm a bit about myself. I want to keep myself anonymous, obviously, but a bit about myself. I'm in late 30s, earn about 200K, corporate job. You know, decent, nice place, a few cars, and everything is all right. Girls coming in, girls going out, mate. So things all right. You know, not a problem in that department either. What happens is that when you have too much prune in your life, I think what I found is that I think that, and maybe I can start this as a topic, that if you have too many girls in your life, sometimes you can get, what are the consequences, right? There are some positive things, but also some negative side effects. And your topic today, that the whole feminist thing where false allegations are made towards guys, and I think that risk is always, obviously there's a high amount of risk there, right? So even in Australia, in NRL players in Australia have been falsely that, you know, there've been rape charges on these guys because apparently the woman goes,
it's a financial incentive.
Yeah, exactly. So they go, mate, I can fetch so much money out of this guy, so how do I make most of it, right? So, or there have been a story where one of my friends told me that he was going out with this chick who said she was dating some guy at the time, you know, and his roommate happened to call that chick one day, and the chick went over, and she said, how about, and the guy, you know, obviously the guy was trying to make his move, and he did, and the chick kind of went for it, and chick, you know, they mad out. The next day, chick felt a bit bad. She felt a bit guilty, and that guilty made her think that maybe that wasn't right, even though at the time it was consensual. She wanted to do it. Next day, she think it wasn't right thing to do. So she then talked to one of her mates, and that the other chick said, why don't you go to the cops and just say, mate, this guy used you, right? This guy did something and blah, blah, blah. And the guy goes, why would you do that for? You can ruin someone's life just because you have a power to do so. And that's a problem in Australia too. Politicians have given so much power to these women. They can pretty much go to the cops and go, mate, this guy did this, and
but that's the same everywhere, Mick. That's, you know, it's the same in the UK, it's the same in Canada, same in, you know, the United States. Pretty much any Western, you know, developed world has laws that are catering to women behaving badly because there's an incentive, whether it's a financial incentive, if the guy has money, or if it's because she feels like she's been slut shamed and she wants to, teach somebody a lesson. There's any number of reasons why they might do it, but the fact remains that the risk is there. I mean, there's things that guys do to try to mitigate that risk, but you're not really talking about anything that's unique or different,
Yeah, no, I completely agree there. So I think what I've found is the strategy, if people aren't in this dating market and they are happen to be with a lot of girls, I've found that I've noticed that girls don't like rejection. If you happen to have once you're done with the chicks and you want to back out of it, don't send messages or harsh messages or say, mate, you're a shit and blah, blah, blah. I didn't want to see you. Back off easily, right? Just say, mate, I'm either busy, or just make it look like that she wanted to initiate that breakup. Or, nowadays I've found that all these chicks don't like to be told or what they can do, what they can't do, right? So if you just bring up one of these topics, go, mate, I don't like you going out drinking, so maybe how about you just control your drinking? And she might just go, mate, oh, fuck you, and there you go. Happy days, right? She just did the whole dirty work, or you don't have to do it anymore. Or if she shows compliance, or she might happen to say, yeah, you're right, I might just close down. If she keep on showing some compliance, she might be a keeper. So there are a few ways that you can let her do the dirty work rather than you doing that dirty work, and this way you can get away with a lot these sort of things where chicks might feel guilty or chicks might feel rejected, and they really hate it for some reason.
Muff has a question for you, brother. He says, does this guy breathe when he talks?
Oh, sorry, guys. I think I have a lot of information in my head, and I was trying to convey this in a shorter time because I know
you're good. Did you have a question for me tonight, or was it just more of like a share there?
Yeah, more of a thing. I think you mostly talk about how to get women and stuff, which is a fair point. A lot of guys are looking for it. And your thing that you mentioned, how I did in my life was the same thing. If you cold approach, keep it very simple. I come from a sales background, so obviously, there's always the advantage. But for the online dating market, the nice photo is always a good thing to have, mate. The photo always sells. That's, like I said, once we set up with the nice photo, it keeps on coming.
Yeah.
All right. So the thing I want to know is when people are dating, people are dating multiple women. What are the things that you think they should keep in mind? What are the risks here? And then I can add a few of my things that I think or from my experience, because I think my notch count has gone up above 100 now, I guess, and I've dated way more than 100. So yeah, what do you reckon the things or the risk of dating a lot of girls?
Well, it's a time, it's a time stick. You spend a lot of time at it, probably throw some financial resources at it. They can be, they're women, right? Like they have emotions. They're going to get the fee-fees tied into it. You could run into a Me Too issue. You definitely want to make sure that you avoid pregnancies or disease. Obviously, those would be the main things. I mean, you could keep going down on that and make a list of 20 or 30 easily, but those would be the main things that you want to be careful with. But never let it get in the way of your purpose. Like never let it get in the way of what you're doing. Like just make it a accessory to your life, to your days, to what you're doing, and just look for women with good character, because that's what you want to keep around, if you're going to keep them around, because for the most part, most women don't have great characters. Most women, you're not going to want around your long-term basis. You're not going to want them, to sleep over. You're not going to feel comfortable leaving them in your house while you go out to do something and you come back, right? Sort of thing. So ideally, you want to use that for looking for women with good character. And then you want to establish, once you found women with good character, because you have to dig through a lot of dirt to find gold, basically, as the old saying goes. Then you can decide whether or not you want to be monogamous, whether you want to be non-monogamous, or how it is that you want to structure your life, whatever it happens to work for you. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, definitely. 100% I agree here. The only thing is there have been occasions when even I found, right, I even though I came across your book and go, mate, that's an awesome book and everything is great, but there time to time it has happened when you go, mate, wouldn't it be nice to get this big pair of tits on your face the next day? And you start to enter their frame, right? You go, because it becomes a bit of addiction too, because they're coming in, going out, and it becomes a part of your life, and you go, and that's where you got to control it, and you got to really think that, you know, what's more important for you, either, you know, to increase your performance at the gym, because, you know, if you're going to not get a good night's sleep, you might not be able to do progressive overloading and stuff like that. So, or, you know, might not be able to do good things at your work. Or so what I've found is to control yourself is another important stuff, because there will be times when you will go, mate, she's a 19, 20-year-old, and she can easily come, she can, you know, she sends you some of the photos, and you go, yeah, you know what, how about I just be, do this, and just, you know, just get it done. And that's when you start to realize you're really entering a frame, and before you know it. So just got to be careful there too.
All right, Mick, thanks for popping in.
Mate, thanks very much, Rich. Cheers.
Take care. All right, let's see what Vlad's got for us here. Vlad, I'm looking at your ceiling, I think.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, man. What's happening?
Awesome. Sweet. Didn't expect to get invited so quick here, but yeah, Rich, just got a little question for you. So I've been following your content, read your book, love it. I've been seeing this girl for about 3 months. And for the past about month and a half, I kind of stopped seeing other girls just because this one was a lot more fun. And I live in Vancouver, BC, and then 2 weeks ago, I went on a little business trip to Victoria, and she happened to go to Kamloops to her friend's like graduation. So we haven't seen each other in 2 weeks. And the other day when I was taking my ferry back to Vancouver on Saturday, I messaged her. I was like, hey, you want to hang out tonight? She was like, hey, like, sorry, like, busy tonight, but let's hang out tomorrow, which is Sunday night. So I'm like, okay, cool. Like, do you have work tomorrow? She was like, well, I'll go to work late afternoon, so like, implying that I can stay over. I'm like, all right, awesome. So yeah, we agreed to, you know, see each other Sunday, and we've been seeing each other about twice a week for the past like 3 months. And then yesterday, she was posting like Instagram stories, and at like 2 a.m. she was with her friend that is quite promiscuous and 2 other dudes at her apartment, you know, which we hang out at all the time, having wine, right? So if I can just like doing that kind of shit and just like be like cheers, just like being all like stupid with these 2 dudes, and dudes are just obviously losers, but it doesn't change the fact that she's with 2 dudes and her like friend that sleeps around all the time, right? So I obviously didn't react in any way, but then when she messaged me yesterday at like 10 p.m. being like, hey babe, like I just got home, let me know when you're on your way. I sent her a message saying, we won't be seeing each other anymore. It sucks that it's come to this, and there's so much about you I'm gonna miss. But hope you have a great life and have all the fun, right? And she just starts calling me, like 4 missed calls, just sending me paragraphs like, hey, like, what's going on? I just want you to know that I haven't seen anyone since we started hanging out, and I'm not looking to see anyone. It's just always such a good time hanging out with you. Like, I don't know what's going on. And then she deleted those stories with those dudes, right? So she knew exactly what she did. So I just ignored those messages and, you know, didn't call her back or anything. But I do like her. And I kind of just want to know, like, you know, what would you suggest doing from this point on? I'm not looking to get back in touch, but kind of just want to hear your input.
Okay, well, first of all, I want to say not bad. How old are you?
26.
Okay. Did you guys ever have the, like, where do we stand talk? Did she say anything to you?
She's been like, this one time when we were hanging out on the weekends, and then she got sick on Monday, so I brought her some like vitamins, and then I just happened to message her on Wednesday again, so that was like the 3rd time that week that we were hanging out. I showed up, and then she was like, hey, like, I just want to keep it super casual, right? I'm like, shit, like, I definitely kind of like showed too much initiative, I guess, in seeing her.
Yeah, I was going to say,
like,
you made the mistake of
yeah.
not continuing to see other women, right? Like,
I actually have, like, yeah, go ahead.
But I mean, like she said that, you know, she wants to keep it super casual. You've only seen her for 3 months. She hasn't expressed like hey, where do we stand? You know, I dig your vibe. I want to claim you. I don't want you seeing me. But like none of that stuff. It's just, let's keep it super casual. So when she chose to go out with her girlfriend and the other guys on the Saturday night, which by the way is the prime night of the week, you know, to go out and do shit, right? Like She put you off for the next night to hang out with her girlfriend, and maybe the dudes were lined up, maybe they weren't lined up, but either way they were there. Like you saw the Instagram stories. So she was doing whatever it was that she was doing. You wouldn't have cared. You wouldn't have even looked at the Instagram stories if you had other options. So that's one of your problems, is that you liked her too fast, too quick, right? She's, you know, she's the most fun. She's the prettiest. She's the whatever vortex of bullshit, you know, you sell yourself, and then you stop seeing other women. And then you get, you know, bent out of shape when you see that, you know, she's hanging out with other dudes or other chicks, and then you just tell her to pound sand and get lost, which it sounds to me like you invested more in the relationship than she did, but at the same time, you don't seem to care either. Like you're not busted up like Mike Tyson was, right? Like you're just like, whatever, you know, which is good. So that's what I got for you. But what's the question here? Like, what do you really want to ask?
Well, just like how to move forward from here. Like, you know, whether you think, you know, it's I should respond to those messages and be like, hey, like, let's hang out. And by the way, Rich, I know I mentioned that, you know, I stopped seeing other girls for the past month and a half in Vancouver. But when I was on the trip to Victoria, like all of the second week, I was hooking up with a coworker. So, you know what I mean? And it's like that coworker is already booking us like trips to Whistler, like sauna trips. She's like obsessed, right? But I do like this girl from Vancouver more. So I do want to continue.
You gotta be careful with coworkers, my man. You gotta be careful with
I know.
coworkers.
She was like my field marketing manager too. So I know that's whoops. But so you
don't overinvest in a chick until she overinvests in you. Choose women that choose you. Okay. You don't have to make any commitment. You don't have to. In fact, you shouldn't, until she comes at you and says, I need to talk to you. I really have all these feelings for you, and I don't want anybody else to be with you. And where do we stand? And where's this going? And, you know, like whatever the conversation happens to be that you're going to have at that time, that's when you can go back and go, okay. And then you take a look at the 20 red flags, and then you go through them. It's like, okay, does she have a bunch of these? She doesn't. Does she have one or two? Does she need to work on them? Are there some boundaries that you have to set? Do you even like her enough to want to invite her into your life and be like, hey, I'm going to introduce you to my family at Christmas time, you know, sort of thing. So those are all the things that you got to consider. But where you went wrong was that you got too bent out of shape over the whole Instagram story thing, because you're looking forward to seeing her, right? Like you wanted to get with her, you wanted to see her on Saturday night. She chose to do something else instead of do you. And then when she reached out to you, you're like, I'm out, done. Right. So, there's a few things that went wrong there, but it sounds like you're in a good position, man. Like you're not busted up at all. And it sounds like you have options, which is a good thing. Not a lot of guys have options, right?
Yeah. Got it.
So,
cool, Rich. Thanks.
Keep doing what you're doing, Vlad. Good for you, buddy.
Absolutely. Cheers.
Take care.
All right.
All right. Let's see here. That bear's repeating. Choose women that choose you. Don't give a spot in your life to somebody that couldn't really. Yeah, don't make somebody a priority that only considers you an option, right? As the old saying goes, right? The problem is that sometimes women watch my shit and they're like, yeah, I'm going to use that logic on relationships too. And then I'm going to wait for him to do the where do we stand talk. It's like, it doesn't work that way. You can't both use the same sexual strategy where it's like, you can't keep throwing hooks and then you're throwing hooks and you're all using the same punches. You got to break it up. You know, women are feminine, men are masculine, you know, like men are the gatekeepers to relationships. Women are the gatekeepers to sex. Like we play different roles here in this game of mating and dating and all that sort of stuff. So pay attention to them. Know your role and, you know, fill it. Anyway, I think we're going to wrap up on that note. It's a big fat 90-minute mark. Got a few people waiting. So again, guys, if you have questions you want to ask, come in early, you know, when I drop the link. I'm live every Monday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Unplugged Alpha YouTube channel. You can also get these in podcast form. I don't know if can I even show that link? Anyway, you're not gonna be able to copy and paste it off the screen, but Moff's got a link there in the live chat. He's not doing stereo tonight, but he's gonna go live on a collab at 9:45. So if you wanna follow up with that after show, you can do that. Next Monday, I got to confirm with Jaron. Jaron, are you good for next Monday? I know you're in the chat. Let me know. I'd like to do that show on the Passport Bros. I've got some interesting content that I want to share with you and comment on, because that's how it seems about 80 to 90% of guys that use like geolocation to try to optimize their dating life, if I can put it that way. But it never really, seems to work out. I'll fill you guys in when I create the event next Sunday. But again, thanks for watching. Leave a comment below, hit the like button, and we'll see you guys in the next cast. Peace out.